defending our country against evil jihadis. He's a warrior of truth, such a patriot. Oh my Gadi.
Welcome, fellow infidels. I am Gadi Adelman. Before we get started, I want to give special thanks to somebody. Somebody purchased this video camera for me so I wouldn't be stuck in my office while doing these videos. I had every intention of being outside today, but it is pouring down rain. So instead, we're in the living room. Let's get right to the point. We're going to be talking about circumcision. You know, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the Muslim Student Association, and I could go on and on with a list of other Islamic organizations, would have you believe that crimes against Muslims, hate crimes, are up, only because they're Muslim. They would have you believe that. The fact of the matter is that not only are they significantly lower than most other religious-based hate crimes, they've actually been dropping over the years. Now, the latest FBI hate crime statistics came out were from 2009. And you need to know, Jewish hate crimes rose from 67% to 72% of all religious-based hate crimes. Now, in 2009, the FBI reported there were 1,575 victims of some type of religious hate crime. 71.9% of them were Jewish, and the crimes were because of anti-Jewish bias. Okay, where'd the Muslims fall? Well, the Muslims fell, get ready for this, at 8.4%. 8.4. So the Jews were at 71 and rising. Muslims were at 8.4. Why do I bring this up? I bring this up because antisemitism is on the rise throughout the whole world. And it's on the rise here in the United States. And we need to wake up to this, folks. But more importantly than how much it's on the rise is the way that it's on the rise. Right now in California, a referendum was just passed that'll be on the ballot in San Francisco in November of this year. It would make circumcision performed on anyone under the age of 18 and misdemeanor, and that includes even if it is done for religious purposes. Now, if it becomes law and you do this and you're caught, it would be punishable by a $1,000 fine or up to, get this, a year in jail. Now, for those that don't know, Jews have something that they refer to as a brit or a bris, where an 8-day-old male infant is circumcised. One needs to understand that the person that performs this is called the moil, and the moil is trained not only in relevant Jewish law, but also in surgical techniques. Now, I was recently at a bris here in my own area where I live, and the moil was actually a physician who had been trained in Jewish law to be a moil. This is a surgical technique. Well, let's look at it from a different way. Forget the religious aspect just for 1 second. The World Health Organization in 2007, the Joint United Nations Program on HIV and AIDS, also in 2007, and the Centers for Disease Control in 2008, all stated that the evidence indicates that male circumcision significantly reduces the risk of HIV and AIDS acquisition by men during sex. I guess it's a cleanliness or health thing. Makes sense to me. Among Jews, circumcision is commanded by God. It's in Genesis. That would be Genesis 17, 10 through 14. It is an outward sign of man's participation in Israel's covenant with God, as well as a sign that the Jewish people will perpetrate through him. In the United States, since there has been record keeping of circumcisions, circumcisions among men in the United States has been as high as 91%. And I can guarantee you, Jews don't make up 91% of the population. So evidently there's an awful lot of other people out there who are having this procedure done. But that's fine. We're just going to talk about Judaism right now. The person that is behind this referendum is a man by the name of Matthew Hess. Hess. Where have I heard that name before? I'm having a flashback to a Nazi. But it doesn't matter. Matthew Hess. Matthew Hess not only is the author of the referendum that's going to be on the ballot in November in San Francisco, Matthew Hess is also the author of a comic book. No joke, folks. This comic book is called Foreskin Man. Yes, that's your new superhero now, Foreskin Man. And what does Foreskin Man do? He rescues children when they're about to be circumcised, steals them from the family to raise them so they don't have to go through it. Foreskin Man. Now, the author of this, Foreskin Man, that would be Matthew Hess, also sells Foreskin Man trading cards, which can be purchased through cafepress.com. Those cards have all the different characters on them, and on the back of the photograph of the card is a description of the individual. Well, the mohel, the man that performs the circumcision, the mohel is called monster mohel. And monster mohel, here's what it says on the back of the monster mohel card. Quote, "Nothing excites monster mohel more than cutting into the infantile, penile flesh of an 8-day-old boy." You know, the amount of anti-Semitism that is, it's just rampant in this comic book, folks. The entire comic book is filled with these evil-looking rabbis and mohels, and of course your superhero is this big, tough, blonde man, pure Aryan, big, tough blonde. And this is exactly how the Nazis started it back in the 30s and 40s. Through comic books and through indoctrination and through regular books. And it's Nazi propaganda all over again. And if you don't believe me that it's Nazi propaganda all over again, look at this picture from the comic book. Now, here's a picture from a poster from 1940 from a movie, Der Ewiger Jude, or The Eternal Jew. It's a Nazi propaganda film, 1940. Look at this poster. Also, another propaganda film that came out that same year was called Jude Seuss, or Seuss the Jew. Take a look at this picture. Any resemblance? Do you see any resemblance to this? Here are some of the pages of the comic book. Look at these pictures. Look at the way these people are portrayed. The assistant to the mohel comes barging in the room carrying an Uzi. An Uzi! Of course, he couldn't have any other regular gun. It had to be an Israeli machine gun. He's carrying an Uzi. Oh yeah, they really break into your home with an Uzi so that they can circumcise your child against your will. Look at some of these clips from the comic book. Matthew Hess, the author of this book, and again, the author of the referendum, was asked in an interview if the comic book was anti-Semitic. And he answered, quote, "A lot of people have said that, but we're not trying to be anti-Semitic. We're trying to be pro-human rights," end quote. California. It's for the children. Pro-human rights again. America Akbar.